What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Off the Couch Boxing. I'm your host, Reckless Rex Ruger. That, of course, is the Alexis Arguello puppet. We are back with another banger of an episode. Call me Mr. International among my multitude of nicknames because we are taking it way overseas today, all the way over to Australia. Today it's Wednesday. There it's already Thursday. So I appreciate my guest making the time, man. Always appreciate it, especially when there's large time gaps. My guest is here now. We're going to get down to it and chop it up with a former 3-division world champion. Let's get down to it now. I'm pumped. And you should be too. Hello, we got him. Jeff.
Hey, mate. Hey, how are you?
You know what, Jeff? You know what? There's something about being called mate that I really like. I'm going to start using that here in the United States. I think it should be, we're always throwing around dude or hey, what's up, buddy? I like mate. Something about mate sounds very nice. You Aussies got it. You Aussies got it figured out.
No, it sounds good.
So listen, first of all, I appreciate you doing this, and especially on such short notice. I'm glad we're able to throw this together. Usually when I start these things, I kind of like to start at the beginning really quickly, man. What was your upbringing like, and how did you get into boxing? Like, were you somebody that was getting in a lot of fights as a kid?
Yeah, you asked me those questions. That's I never boxed in my life until I was 17 and a half.
Okay, late start.
Yeah, I went to a police youth club, a boys club, and I went there to have a fight with some boys, and they weren't there. And I seen a room that said boxing on it, so I sat down because I seen a friend of mine boxing, and I heard the trainer say to him, "Oh, it'd be great to have some boxing." I said, "I'll box him." I thought I could kill him. Next I went there, he built the shit out of me, but the trainer said, "Oh, that was really good."
Yeah.
And in my head, I was thinking he wants me to go back to get bashed up again, but I don't know why I went back.
That's on the job training right there.
Yeah.
and so you start boxing at 17, but were you a fan? Were you watching it at all?
No, I never watched anything in my life. I played rugby league.
Okay,
so you didn't representative teams, yeah.
So you didn't even really have any boxers or people that you were looking at as like boxing idols at all?
Never. No.
And that's remarkable. And then you go on to be a 3-division world champion. That is some story right there. Because usually when you hear about guys having that kind of success, they're starting out in the gym at 5, 6, 7, 8 years old.
You got to listen to this, Rex. I am in my 13th amateur fight. I fought in the World Cup in Rome. I came third in the world. In my 24th amateur fight, I was the Olympic team captain. I won my first fight, won my second fight, won my third fight. And the first time in boxing history, there was a jury and they overturned my decision. Well, I'd already with that fight, I had bronze, and the other guy who I beat that fight went on to fight Steve McCrory for the gold medal. I fought Steve McCrory as a professional, knocked him out in the 14th round, And before my 13th professional fight, I'd fought for I've defended my world title 3 times in 15-round fights.
And so what do you attribute it to? Do you feel like, I know you hear the term thrown around a lot, somebody's a natural at something. Do you feel like you're a natural at boxing? You have to be.
Well, I don't know about a natural, but I think I was born to fight. And, I just found what I was born to do a little late. But so it's better late than never.
Better late than never. And so you go on to fight and win the titles in 3 different divisions. But who would you say gave you your toughest fight? Now, you had a trilogy, if I'm not mistaken, with Azuma Nelson, right?
Yeah.
Is he the toughest guy? Is he the toughest guy you were in there with?
No, I'd say he's the best fighter, but he's never not the toughest. Not. Yeah, Victor Callejas from Puerto Rico, my 3rd world title. Some of the Mexicans I fought, Marcos Villasana, who went on to be the featherweight champion of the world, they were different fights to the Nelson fight. They were tougher.
And so obviously you're still involved with boxing. Are there fighters right now currently in the sport that you like to watch? Like, is there somebody out there that fights where you say, wow, if he's fighting, I'm sitting down and I'm watching. I like this guy.
Yeah, although Javante Ali throws a limited amount of punches in a round. I just love his precision and his power. I love Javante, you know.
Yeah.
I love Tefimo Lopez, you know. George Kambosos beat him here in Australia, but I don't think that was the real Tefimo that night. But like I said, there are a lot of fighters out there that I think it's different today, you know. I watch it, I see like when Floyd Mayweather fought Manny Pacquiao, although it's a while ago, between them they threw 500-something punches in the whole fight. I did that in 4 rounds on my own.
I know. and so if someone was holding your feet to the flames right now and said, you know, because you get all these guys on social media, they're all barking about being the face of boxing. I'm the face of boxing. Who do you think right now is the face of boxing?
In a way, I think he's the best fighter in the world by a mile. Him and Terence Crawford,
you
know, the best fighters by a mile.
But with that being said, and you bringing up Bud Crawford's name, you know, you are a guy that had success, as I mentioned, in multiple weight divisions. You know, do you like Bud's chances if he goes up to 168 and fights Canelo?
Hey, look, it's going to be tough, but listen, Bud's one of those special guys that you can't discount him in any fight. And if he wants to fight it, he must have the confidence and the belief that he's watched this guy and there's a way to beat him. And if anybody can put the story together and make it a happy ending, it's Bud, you know.
I'm glad you said it like that too, because I just had a guest on the other night, and I think he put it kind of the same way. If anybody in the sport could do it right now, it would be Bud, who could accomplish this.
And no disrespect to Canelo, but he's not the fighter that he was early, and I don't know. I just think that he's slowed down a lot.
What do you think about the I kind of like to refer to it as, you know, the Saudi takeover. It really seems like they're becoming major players in boxing right now. Turki Al-Sheikh really seems to be putting together. I mean, we're going to see a great card this coming up Saturday. He's keeping the pay-per-view price very low here for us in the States, which I certainly appreciate. $25.99 is a nice price to see, and every fight is a world title fight.
Yeah, Turkey's done a great job. I think finally we're going to have somebody who is going to run the sport totally on his own, not 10 or 12 different guys where they're jealous of each other, they're trying to steal each other's fighters, they're doing all they've done for the last, as far as I remember, is harm the sport. These guys have never worked together, and they can't work together because they're greedy. If they weren't greedy and all worked together, the sport would have been great. I mean, it's still great. I mean, it would have been greater. It would never have had those lows and highs and lows. Because, the greatest fighters would fight the greatest fighters. And that's, if you're a great fighter, that's what you want to do.
Do you think social media, and the advent of technology, which wasn't prevalent during your fighting days, whereas you see a lot of these guys, getting on social media and talking a good game and talking about fighting each other, but sometimes the fights don't come to fruition. Do you think maybe that's that's kind of an obstacle where guys are content having war with words, but not actually signing the fight?
Yeah, I think it's the worst thing ever. I mean, I was just talking to one of my fighters the other day. He's all over social media and taking his shirt off the show, and all this kind of stuff, and talking and talking right up. I said to my young fighter, I won't mention any names. I said, listen, I never stared at my opponent. I never looked him in the eye. How do you win a fight by looking somebody in the eye? These win fights. I told him, I said, I never done that. I never said a bad word about my opponents. I had 15,000 people at every fight and 40,000 at another one, my fist did the talking. Today, it's more mouth than fighting.
And what do you think about these? I think I know what your answer is going to be, you being kind of a throwback, old school kind of guy, but I'll ask the question anyway. These Jake Paul spectacles, are they good for boxing or not good for boxing?
Whether they're good or not for boxing, they're great for Jake Paul. What a genius he is. Everybody gets jealous because of money. Yeah, he's made more money than 50 of our greatest fighters of all time.
Yeah.
But if somebody can do that, you got to congratulate him. I mean, you can't be envious and jealous. But good luck to the guy. I mean, all right, he's trying his best, and that's all he can do. But in the interim, he's making millions and millions of dollars, and that's that might hurt people, but doesn't hurt me. I think that I think of how smart he was. Why couldn't let me think of something? It's an amazing thing that he's done. Let me tell you something else. he does help the fighters a lot. Look what he's done for the girls, Serrano and all those guys. And you got to take your hat off to him. He's not a greedy guy. Listen, he's making great money, but at least he shares it with his fighters. I mean, like, listen, I can go back and do some promoters and things happen. Like, you know, I remember fighting for my third world title in front of 15,000 people. A massive pay-per-view in Australia. It was called Sky Channel. I got $100,000. When I learned later on in my life what putting the whole thing together with sponsorship and the crowd, and man, they were making millions. I was getting $100,000.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not disappointed. You learn and you grow from all that stuff. Like I said, everybody's made mistakes in life, and some people take them too personally. The mistakes are a lesson. They're not a life sentence.
And I guess in a lot of ways too, you know, regardless of whether, you know, you make a good point, regardless, you know, he's a polarizing figure, but he is bringing more eyes to boxing, whether or not they're casual or they're diehard fans. You know what I mean? People are tuning in to watch the sport of boxing when he puts these events on, you know?
Yeah. And they're paying as well. So he's doing something right.
Yeah.
He's doing something right. He's doing everything right. That's all I can say.
He is. I think, I believe that too. Now, so catch people up to speed a little bit on what life after boxing has been like for you. I know me and you were talking offline before we did this. You were talking about you're doing some training, you know what I mean? Catch people up to speed on what's going on in Jeff Fenech's life right now.
Yeah, my greatest thing that's gone in my life, I just suffered 2 major heart operations. One just over 4 years ago. Had I went to bed that night, my friends didn't rush me to hospital or get the ambulance to come to my hotel room, I'd be dead. And 7 months ago, the same thing happened to me, and I was very, very blessed to be alive again. But for many people talk about me, what legacy do you want to leave? I want to leave a legacy, nothing to do with boxing. I want to leave a legacy that Jeff Fenech was great to people. Because let me tell you, if it wasn't for you and the rest of the people in Australia who paid to watch me fight, I wouldn't have this beautiful house that I live in.
Right.
I go to dinners, my wife and I, every night. We eat out every single night of the week. We eat out and we love our red wine. I will sit down, I will send red wine to people's tables. I'll pay the bill without them knowing, and they try to find me. I want people to remember me as somebody who gave back and appreciated what the public gave me. I'm not concerned about my boxing record or what I've done for boxing. What I've done for boxing was what I was great at, but I could never have done it without the people and without the people who supported me. So I try to be as real as I can, and I think that when I think through everything that happened to me, the greatest thing that ever happened to me in the boxing ring was when I lost my first fight, because that taught me who I was, taught me it was a lesson. Every time I won, it was a party and it was a celebration. When I lost, it was a pretty lonely time on my own. And then I think of the other great things that have happened. I've got some beautiful children, and I was blessed to meet the beautiful lady in the world, my wife Susie. So they're the things that really matter and count to me.
But you are doing some training right now, correct? You do have a stable of fighters or a few fighters?
I had some that I stopped because when I had my heart operation, I thought that I just would have a break. But just recently, a boy by the name of Tyson Pedro, he's fighting for the Bridgerweight, Cruiserweight, one of those titles at the moment here in Australia, and I'm helping him, and he looks to have a lot of potential, so I'm looking forward to that. And I'm helping a few other boys like Brock Jarvis and Hass Hamden here in Australia, who I've been helping for a few years. But for me, it's just like I said, I love it. I love more than training the fighters. I train some young boys just to help them be confident and not get bullied. When they leave my house and see the smile on their face, and when they walk back in, and 3 or 4 days a week. That's the icing on the cake for me. Then I know I've done something. Now that's when I'm giving back.
That's better than anything. You're right. That's better than anything. And now, I recently saw a story online, and I want to get your opinion or your feelings on this, where the WBA was thinking about reinstating, at least for title fights or undisputed fights, 15 rounders again. Good idea or bad idea? I don't think they meant 15 rounds across the board, just when it was a title fight or possibly an undisputed fight.
Yeah, I think 15 rounds is really important. I mean, I fought it, after I fought it in my 7th fight, my 9th fight, my 11th fight, my 3rd. I fought 15 rounds. I loved it. I mean, like I said, listen, it's great that, let me tell you, it's great that people are thinking about what's happening after our careers and stuff. You know, like I said,
Sure.
so that's really important, and that might be an important thing about having 12 rounds, not 15. But to me, 15 rounds is the ultimate, and not just that. Where we should be more concerned about is looking after these guys when they're sparring, putting proper head guards on them, putting covers on them, so they're getting less impact to their head, putting bigger gloves on when they spar, that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my job as a trainer. To tell everybody, my first and foremost is the health and safety of my boy. Second, I'd love to think that I help these young boys own a property, or I've done something with it. I'm going to help them, whether they become world champions or not. I try to make them invest in the right areas, and then if I got these great fighters, everything's just going to fall into place.
Yeah, and I can't, and it kind of makes me think like, you know, I mean, I know there's been casualties in the ring. There's been people, you know, who walked away from the ring who don't have their faculties all in order right now. But is an extra 9 minutes really going to really make or break them? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you're talking about 3 rounds, you know, another 9 minutes of fighting. I mean, I guess that's why they initially went from 15 to 12. I mean, you know, you look back at the fight with Boom Boom Mancini, you know, people dying in 15-round fight. But, you know,
who knows?
Right,
you know,
right.
Listen, forget that, Rex. This is what you got to realise. Like I said, the damage isn't done in fights. The damage is done sparring prior to the fight. Those guys that went 15 rounds a day with Boom Boom, and he could have been getting hit every day in sparring. All of a sudden, he can't handle what happened to him on that night.
Right.
So, what was the build-up like for this guy? He would have been sparring the toughest guys ever. He knew he was fighting Boom Boom Mancini. He was a great fighter. He was just the guy who never stopped. So what I'm saying is, had we looked after this individual better in the lead up to the fight, I don't believe that would have happened.
And there's no, and you make a good point. There's no way of knowing that in sparring that he wasn't already predisposed or had something going on already.
100%. But the most important thing is, it's my job. I'm the trainer. Whether it takes 3 rounds for me to throw the towel, if I think I don't care if the fight is 15 rounds. If I think I made a mistake with the wrong opponent for the guys too, I'm going to stop the fight as early as I can.
Sure,
I'm not waiting 10 rounds or 12 rounds. If I think I made a mistake, I put my boy in with this guy's giving my boy a boxing lesson for 3 rounds, I'm stopping the fight.
Absolutely.
And let me tell you what happens at the end, Rex. Your fighter jumps up and down, but a few weeks later or a couple of months later, when his parents say, "Thank you for looking after my son," and he says that when he finally realizes that he wasn't going to win that fight, he was just going to get damaged, which makes it harder for the fight after, they appreciate it.
And I mentioned at the top of the interview, you winning titles in 3 different weight divisions. Where do you feel,
4 different.
I'm sorry, correct me. 4 divisions. Where do you think, though, you did your best fighting? Where did you feel most comfortable when you were really at your peak? What weight were you at when you really felt like I'm at my best?
Yeah, well, like I said, if you look at my fights, I defended my bantamweight title three times undefeated. Defended my super bantamweight title 3 times undefeated. Defended my featherweight title 3 times undefeated. Then I fought the great Azuma Nelson for my 4th world title. I don't care what anybody says, what Azuma says. I won the fight hands down. And then what you've got to realize is that people talk about the rematch. Yeah, don't worry about the rematch. Had I won that fight, Rex, I'm not fighting Azuma Nelson again. I'm going on to bigger and better things. But again, because of that jaw again, when I got back home off the plane, I was a superhero here in Australia. And it went to my head. Fame and fortune changes everybody. And I know for a fact that the guy Azuma Nelson fought in that second fight wasn't the guy he fought in the first fight. Even they're saying that he's sick. And let me just say, there's a story that he had malaria. If you were his trainer and you let him fight with malaria, you should be put in jail.
Shame on you. Yeah, absolutely.
All this stuff bullshit. I don't make bullshit. He knocked me out because he prepared better than me. And I don't take nothing. He's one of the greatest fighters in history. One of the greatest.
No doubt.
Yeah. So, but I don't make excuses. He beat me, no problem at all. Like I said, I can tell you lots of things that happened or how I changed things. I used to run at 5 and then I ran at 8 o'clock and all these different things that happened. But like I said, I'm not worried about that stuff. All I'm worried about is, me after boxing.
And now the nurse part of me, because my day job, I work as a nurse. So the nurse part of me has to ask, how are you health-wise now?
You're talking to me now. I sound great, but
you look great.
Got to show you something. See this here?
Yep.
That's a piece of paper in a diary of what I do every day. If I don't look at that, I'll forget I'm doing something this afternoon. So I write everything down every day, what I'm doing, and there's nothing wrong with me. But my memory, I have memory lapses, and just things are a little bit tougher than I would have liked them to be, because, like I said, I'll tell you now, I'm going to see you an hour at my house. All of a sudden, within that hour, I go somewhere else, and you come ring me, hey, Jeff, I'm at your house. Oh, shit, I'm going to turn and go back. Just a little bit of, and like I said, I'm blessed. I'm blessed that I've, done some great things with my money. Like I said, I'm blessed. I've got the most amazing life, and I live life to the fullest every day. And not me, I try to make other people around me do the same and feel the same.
Hey, listen, I didn't get punched in the head for a living, and I forget shit during the day and have to write shit down. So, and I didn't get beat up or take punches for a living. So I think a lot of it just has to do with just getting on in years. Because I noticed now at 52 years old, I just had the flu a couple weeks ago, and I said to my wife, it sucks getting older because it stays with you longer. I don't bounce back as fast,
So.
It's still lingering. I can still feel it in my throat a little bit. Even 10 days, 2 weeks later, I still feel kind of run down. It just, everything lingers a little longer.
Yeah, that's for sure. Age does that to you. I try to tell people, like, when Mike Tyson fought Jake Paul, I love Mike. I trained Mike, and
love him.
One of the beautiful humans in the world. What he done to compete in that fight was unbelievable. The work that he put himself through to be in that condition, forget about what happened in the fight. But like I said, I remember a few days earlier saying to Mike, as we get older, the punches start to hurt. And Mike's answer to me was, yeah, I've been sparring guys that punch harder than Jake Paul, and I'm okay. So I kind of thought, wow, because that's not how I feel, and that's not how a lot of other people feel. But that's just Mike's mental toughness and his self-belief. But like I said, what he done, honestly believe that he changed the perspective of people. Like you can try the way he done at that age, it's just crazy.
And now, because you do have a relationship with Mike, and you did talk to him somewhat in the lead up to the fight or whatever, do you give him any? Did you give him any advice because he's fighting at a more advanced age? Does he ask you for any advice?
Always. I gave him lots of advice. So I told him to do certain things, but obviously, look, I'm not sure what happened in that fight, but that wasn't the Mike Tyson that I was talking to, and that wasn't the Mike Tyson that I thought would enter the ring.
Yeah.
I don't know if something crazy happened just before it, or when he got in that ring again, he maybe questioned, could he do it? Because listen, at that age, I don't care who you are, when you're trying to do something, you question yourself. Everything I do today, I kind of, can I do that? Of course, I'm going to go out and do my best. But you'll always question them. And what he done was in front of millions and millions of people, so people don't realize the pressure that he was under.
Yeah. Now, do you think? Are you somebody that thinks like like where do you stand on like when you see some of these guys who have stepped away from the sport for a while? A good example is somebody like Vladimir Klitschko, who's in the news now, flirting with possibly coming back. I even saw somewhere recently where Floyd Mayweather, I was reading an article where, could he be successful at welterweight at 47 years old? Is it a good idea for these guys who have been away from the sport for a while to try to jump back in?
I think it's terrible. Listen, I don't have near the money of any of those guys, but I'm happy. My life's happy. Why would you take any kind of risk to make it unhappy? I mean, to embarrass yourself. If somebody offered me $100 million to fight anyway, I would say no, because my time is done. I know that without any shadow of doubt. And these guys, like I said, great that Floyd still is spitting. He can do all this stuff, but does he need any money? Does he need to,
Right.
No, we don't. I mean, so look, then the only thing that I can tell any of these guys, it's I know they're going to make big money, but is your health. Health is much more important than wealth. If you got no health, you can't spend your wealth.
Well, you could probably speak on this point as a fighter yourself, though. What, after these guys have been away from the sport for a while, and you make a good point, they do have a lot of money. What is it that's calling them back? I mean, I wasn't a fighter, so maybe you can expound on this as an ex-fighter. Is it pride? Is it feeling like you got one more good one left in you? Is it wanting to see how you can measure up with these younger guys? Like, what is it that calls these guys back, in your opinion?
Yeah, well, I thought that years and years ago, and I didn't have one left in me. It's ego. It's ego, and
yeah.
Today it's a little bit more than ego because of Turkey and how
Great
beautiful
courses.
everybody and spending his money on the greatest sport ever. And people think, shit, if I can make whatever they're going to make and hopefully not get hurt and they pick the right opponent and they do everything right. It's a great earn, but like I said, risk for me is too much. Like I said, I'm happy every day being with my wife, eating dinner. I don't need to splurge on crazy things to show people that I'm rich or famous. Like I said, I prefer to walk around with a hat and glasses and nobody talk to me. But the only reason why Rexx I'd never do that was I said, without the people, who would I have been?
Right.
If I'm not going to say thank you and sign autographs and people ask me, I would hate myself.
Yeah. Now, you make a great point, and I agree with you that I think right now the best fighter on the planet for sure is Inoue. Is there anybody out there though that you've seen, or that you know of in boxing that is going to give him that dog fight, or that could possibly knock him off?
Only one reason, one if he keeps moving up. For instance, they're talking about him fighting Gervonta. I mean, Gervonta can knock anybody out.
Yeah.
So that's probably the toughest. But I'll tell you a story. I trained the first person who lost the title to Inoue, a Mexican, Rodriguez.
Okay.
When I watched a video of Inoue as a part of our preparation, and I watched him fight a Russian, and he lost on a points decision. And that day, I said that it's common knowledge. I said to some of the people from Mexico, so this boy was Mexican, that this kid could be the greatest fighter ever.
Yeah.
I watched him lose a fight. Then he beat my opponent. He beat my boy. He took the first world title off, Rodriguez. And then he went on to be something that is amazingly special.
Yeah. Now, you make a good point about ego. Is it hard for a fighter to walk away from the sport when the last fight they had was a loss? Is that something that sticks with a fighter? You want to go out on a high note, obviously. The only reason I bring up that point is because, obviously, a couple weeks ago, Tyson Fury announces his retirement. Is he going to be able to walk away after 2 straight losses to Usyk? Or is he the kind of guy that will be bothered by this and won't be able to walk away? How hard is it for a fighter to end their career on a loss?
Yeah, it's hard. But let me think about Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury's been through all this crap before, and he's beaten it also. I don't know. I think he's a remarkable individual. And look, it wouldn't surprise me if he fought again. But like I said, because of ego, but he doesn't have to. Yeah.
I think, I have a feeling we haven't seen the last of him either. I don't know if it's one of those things to kind of line himself up for, some big fights, or to kind of get that, maybe Turkey lures him out with big money.
Yeah, but I know that, one of the things, he's one of these guys who, no disrespect, he doesn't give a rat's ass about other people. He'll do what he wants to do, which is amazing. And hopefully, like I said, we've seen him in some amazing fights with Wilder when he got up. That was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
But like I said, he doesn't have to prove anything else to anybody else. And the great thing is, like, Tyson's that kind of guy that he's got nothing to prove to nobody. He knows what he's done. He knows how great he was, and hopefully he'll just leave it at that. But like I said, there's always that ego and the money that's out there today that can always lure you back into the sport.
Now, me speaking here about what's going on in the States, obviously, our American football is huge. NBA basketball is huge. It always seems like boxing, as much as I love the sport and am passionate about it, it never gets the accolades and the recognition that the bigger sports get. What is it that you think keeps boxing from regaining that insane glory? I mean, we are still seeing a lot of things that I think are a black eye on the sport. Unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of bad scorecards still. Awful scoring.
Just think of this, Rex. If you couldn't do your job, then not you do it. These guys can't even dream about doing the job properly, and they still work every month, every week. But let me tell you what it is. It's like you're the promoter. You take me as a referee and judge around the world. You look after me. It's not that they want to treat. It's they just think, oh wow, Rexx took me over this time. I'm going to look after Rex's fight. When it's a close round, they go to Rexx. They don't give to the fight.
Yeah.
So it's sad and scary. But the other thing is, Rexx, again, like I said, if there was one champion, and it's going to turn around soon, there'll be one champion, and there wasn't all this fighting with the WBA. And like I said, I remember growing up when I was watching, listen, that some of the champions wouldn't fight me or this and that, but not just that. I remember people giving the WBA's money, you get a rating, you get a world title. But like I said, no, you got to earn that. You got to fight for that. You know, you forget about the money and everything else. But like I said, people don't realise today that look at Dana White, what he's done for the UFC.
Yeah.
I mean, that's marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, at least we're marketing our sport. The UFC got a channel, you can watch it all day. What a boxing got? We can't have a channel because we've got 5 different belts.
Right.
So how do you do it? You know,
Right.
if we're united as one, it's the greatest sport in the world. I mean, listen, this is a fight. When I was a kid, if I kicked somebody, you're a girl. Ah, you kick, you're a girl. You know.
I know. You're right. You're right.
So what I'm saying is, you know, and no disrespect to the UFC, because I admire anybody that, you know, walks through those ropes. But like I said, the world's changed. It's social media and everything else. But boxing could and should be in a much higher position. But like I said, if you're going to get a meat pie cooker to be a referee or a judge, we're always going to be in trouble. Those guys have done nothing. They've never had a fight in their life. But they travel the world. They travel the world in luxury to work with certain promoters. Listen, you mean to tell me, I've been all around the world. I've promoted. Those guys that go to referees and judges, they go to Bangkok, they get off the plane, they're wined and dined, they send girls to them. Yeah, I'm just honest. Yeah, well, who do you think they're gonna give a close fight to?
Sure.
To the guy who brought them over there. I mean, it's common sense. It's it's bullshit. These guys shouldn't be allowed to the fight to the day of the fight. They shouldn't be allowed to be wined and dined. They shouldn't be allowed to talk to the promoters. We should just pick the referees and judges who they're going to be. Send them there a day or so before the fight, and that's it.
And what is the answer for? I'm sure you might have a theory on this, but what is a way in your mind of fixing the bad scoring? Do these guys need more training? Do these cards need to be maybe given to somebody else and reviewed? I mean, maybe we shouldn't put all this power into these 3 guys. You know what I mean?
Rexx, it's simple. It's simple. Hey, if 2 guys give it to somebody 119, and the other, mate, he's got to go. He's got no idea what's happening in the sport. Hey, listen, like I said, if I can't do my job, you get the sack. If I'm a mechanic and I don't fix the cars, I get the sack. If I'm a garbage man, I drop the garbage, I get the sack. If I'm a fisherman, I get these guys can't do the job. Sack the bastards.
Well, you made a good point a couple seconds ago. You made a great point a minute ago about how these guys have never had a fight. I've had people on as guests who have said, maybe the answer is having guys at ringside that have done it professionally, or even amateur guys that actually got between those ropes and fought.
Rexx, do you think ever after one of those fights that, just say you're one of those judges who are so far off, you think something's wrong with your brain?
Right.
Do you think they've ever been called in the room and say, let's watch this fight together? How did you judge it? Never. They're not reprimanded. They just go home, sit there, count their money or whatever, and just get ready for the next fight.
Right. And meanwhile, the trajectory of someone's career is completely altered by what they turned in.
You don't realize when they gave me that draw in Vegas, I was never the same fighter again. Never the same fighter again.
Yeah. I mean, and another example of that was Marvelous Marvin Hagler after the Leonard fight. He was done. Yeah. That was it for him. Or they just took the belt away from O'Shaquie Foster a couple months ago. Awful. I mean, he wins 10, 11 rounds, almost a shutout, and they take his belt off of him.
Like I said, that's why we need some strong heads and some capable people in the sport. That when somebody makes a mistake, you take them, you're the jury, you ask them, and if they can't give you the answer, thank you very much for being involved in the sport, you need to do something else. Man, I told a referee, one of my friends who's a referee in Australia one day, and I said, listen, do you love the sport? I won't mention his name, but I said, do you love the sport? He said, yeah. I said, well, listen, it's time for you to get out because what you're doing, shit, it's terrible.
Yeah, yeah. And I think you do make a good point too, that these guys ought to be able to have their cards, they should be called on the carpet and have to justify these scorecards. I mean, like someone should say, explain why you scored this round this way.
How did you give this 7 rounds different to the other judge? How? Can you tell me why?
Yeah. Now I want to ask you before I let you out of here. In your opinion, if you could put together the Mount Rushmore of boxing, the greatest 4 fighters, in your opinion, who would be up there?
Joe Louis.
Okay.
Sugar Ray Robinson. Ray Leonard. I love Tyson. So I'll say, I say this about Mike Tyson. Had Mike Tyson been able to be the same guy that was 18 and 19 and 20 without changing because of fame and fortune, I think he would have went down as the greatest fighter in history. But like I said, he won't because fame and fortune changes everybody, and he was just around the wrong people. I tell everybody about life. You hang around with people who do things, even though you might not do them, you get branded as that person. It's hard at that time. He was Mike, having all these people that he thought were beautiful around him. They were around him for the wrong reasons. I've been through that here in Australia. But like I said, those fighters are without doubt. Like when you talk about heavyweights, and I look at Joe Louis, I think, wow, he's doing things that we're supposed to do today. He was technically, for me, perfect. We talk about Ray Robinson. I mean, look, Floyd was great. Floyd was great as well. I mean, man, look at some of the records. Look at how many people, Ray Robinson fought. And they didn't care about having a zero. They fought whoever they could. And listen, I've got to say this as well.
Yeah.
Floyd too, Floyd fought everybody, I didn't care what time it was, but look at some of the champions that Floyd fought when you're like Diego Carlos, when he was, wow, he's great. He's going to get Floyd a fight. It was no problem for Floyd. So look, there's been so many great fighters, but I'll go back a little bit. I'm old school, so like I said, Ray Leonard, to me, wow, he was just amazing. That he could just change a fight at any time, and he stayed against Tommy Hearns and stuff like that. And then he had the audacity to say, and to honestly say, that he thought Tommy beat him in that second fight.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought his name up, because one of the most polarizing decisions ever, and believe me, because I do this podcast, I try to keep my ear to the pavement. I'm on Facebook. I'm in a lot of the boxing groups on Facebook. I'm always keeping up with stuff. One of those decisions in the boxing world that's still polarizing and still divides people, and people still are get hot under the collar and have massive opinions about it, is that 1987 fight between Leonard and Hagler. Now, I've asked so many fighters on here how they saw it, and it really still is 50-50. But I got to ask you, because you're here, who won that fight?
Yeah, listen, it all depends again how you judge. I mean, that fight was so close.
Very.
If you give the aggressor rounds when it was close, Hagler wins the fight. If you just look at scoring punches and the skill and the awareness, then Ray could have won the fight,
Yeah.
But it was a hard one. But listen, do me a favor then. Watch my first fight against Zuma Nelson.
I will. I know I've seen it many times. I will go back and watch it again and actually score it, and then I will let you know what I came up with. I will tell you, in the Hagler-Leonard fight, I had it 115, 113 for Sugar Ray.
Well, like I said, you can't complain about that,
No.
Like I said, but for me, Hagler was making the fight. Although he was. But he was getting tagged coming in. So,
But one thing that Ray was a master of, though, even when the punches weren't really hard, he would hit you with those shoe shine combos, and he knew how to steal around at the end. He would leave the judges remembering that last 15 seconds. When he did that clacker, man, he would go to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All of a sudden, it could be 15 punches, and then Ray Leonard hits you with 20 punches.
Yeah.
That's really hard. But yeah, Ray was, like I said, Ray Leonard is one of my favorites of all time.
And before I let you out of here, you mentioned earlier, that when you lost your first fight, it taught you a great lesson. But overall, your boxing career, when you look back on it, man, what's the biggest lesson you've learned from your boxing career?
Wow. I don't know. At the end of the day now, it's just about me being humble. And like I said, if a charity needs my belts, I'd give them to me in 1 minute. My belts mean nothing to me. What my legacy is, like I told you, I'd love it to be after this, but my legacy as a fighter, when Mike Tyson sees me and says, oh, Jeff Fenech is my favourite fighter, or when Roberto Duran sees me and cuddles me, like, that's when you know you're made in the sport. Belts don't mean nothing. When you get respect from your peers, when you get the ultimate respect from the greatest fighters in the world, then you know you made it. And I've done that many, many times.
Yeah. I'm glad to see you doing so well, man. I'm glad your health is good. And I especially appreciate you coming on here, especially on such short notice, man. The only thing I ask before you leave is that you stay in touch. I'd love to have you back on again. You're a great guest.
Anytime, whenever you've got anything to talk about, I'm there for you, my friend. Just message me. And I'll send you my phone number as well. So just message me anytime.
I'll do the same. Thank you so much, sir. It was a pleasure, really.
And just before we go, I want to say something on your behalf. You know what? It's really, I've done millions of interviews, but it's great to do an interview with somebody that knows what they're talking about. It's like,
I appreciate it.
Yeah. There was none of your questions that I thought, gee, does he know what he's talking about? So it's really a pleasure to do that with you, Reg.
Well, I will say that on my YouTube channel, I've done over 160 episodes. I used to co-host with my son, but he has 4 small children, so it's kind of hard for him to get into the interviews now, but he used to be in here with me. But we've been blessed, man, to have some great, I look back now on the 160 episodes that are already on our channel, and I can't believe some of the people. Like we started this from the ground up, but we've had, James Toney, Greg Haugen, Pinklin Thomas, and plus a lot of young up and coming fighters, Shushu Carrington, Keyshawn Davis, so we've really been blessed, man, considering we started it from nothing, just me and my son, So, I look back on like what we've built, and our viewers have climbed up and our subscribers have climbed up. So, and that's just us just reaching out to people and just hoping that they'll come on and talk to us for a little while. So, and it's an honor to add you to that list, really.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure, mate. I've got some boys I'm going to go out and train now and
have fun.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was an honor, sir. Thank you so much. Good talking to you, sir.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, mate. Good talking to you.
Bye-bye.
Later, Jeff. There he goes, folks. The great Jeff Fenech, who I'm so happy corrected me, as I had him only as a 3-division world champion. I guess don't believe everything that you read online. Wikipedia, you are fucking wrong. But he was IBF bantamweight title holder, super bantamweight, featherweight. And yes, he did. I do see here now. This is my old age. Eventually, super featherweight. And of course, he had those amazing fights with Azuma Nelson, man. Hell of a legacy, man. I want to get his numbers right here. And I don't edit anything, so this is me being unprofessional and poking my nose into my phone here, man. But the great Jeff Fenech, 29-3-1, 21 knockouts, and a world champion, as I said, in 4 different weight divisions, man. And an amazing resume, man. And one hell of a fucking fighter, man. An unbelievable career as I'm looking through it here. Notable fights, like I said, fighting multiple times against Azuma Nelson, Daniel Zaragoza, Steve McCrory, just an amazing resume, and ultimately an amazing guy and an amazing ambassador for this sport of boxing that we all love. And it's good to see that he is bounced back from his heart issues, and he's still out there living life to the fullest. And more importantly, so humble and giving back to the youth, man. And, doesn't seem consumed with what he did or who people perceive him to be, man. Just a giving, caring guy, man, who did a lot in his career and is happy to give back. No ego involved at all, man. Always a pleasure when you run into guys like that, man. Really, I can't say it enough. A true ambassador for the sport. And I appreciate the fact that it is 6:22 p.m. Eastern time. It is already the next day for him, sometime in mid-morning. So for him to, come on and such short notice, I literally just threw this interview together and asked him if he'd be interested in doing it, in the next hour or so. And he's like, yeah, well, I'll work it out and I'll hop on. So that's always a nice thing for a podcaster, to be able to set something up that easy and have somebody who is that legendary in this sport that we love just to hop on here and chop it up with me and give me some time. So I really do appreciate the great Jeff Fenech, the pride of Australia, for being on here, man. I hope you guys dug that episode, man. Again, thank you to Jeff Fenech, 4-division world champion, let me clarify, and a good mate. So on that note, man, hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to tap in and stay tapped in for the best and most real boxing conversations anywhere on the planet, right here on Off the Couch Boxing. Like and follow Off the Couch Boxing on Facebook, and make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay tapped in, because this is where it all goes down, folks. You got to be tapped in right here, man. New content every single week. I'm throwing stuff out there, man. Again, great conversations, man, with legends, luminaries, champions, and rising stars in the sport, man. So stay tapped in, man, and make sure that you always remember that if you want to be a champion, all you got to do is roll with the champs.